I never thought a Thanksgiving dinner would be the battlefield where I finally outsmarted my mother-in-law. Yet there I was, sweating over a turkey that refused to brown, while my wife, Maya, whispered frantic apologies to her mom, Evelyn, who was perched like a judge on the edge of her seat. You see, I've been married to Maya for 3 years, and for the first 18 months everything felt like a sitcom: laugh tracks, happy endings, the occasional eye roll when she'd ask me to fetch a glass of water. Then Evelyn moved in with us. Not permanently, just for a few months while she fixes the roof on her house, and the house quickly turned into a war zone. At first, it was the little things. Evelyn would rearrange the spice rack, swapping my favorite cumin for coriander without asking. She'd hide the coffee filters because she preferred a stronger brew. I laughed it off, assuming she was just being quirky. But then the sabotage became surgical. The first real red flag was when she accidentally broke my favorite mug, one I'd saved from college because it reminded me of home. She said it fell off the counter, but the crack looked like a perfect line where a hand had pressed down. I tried to let it slide, but the next day she forgot to refill the dishwasher detergent, and the machine sputtered and stalled, ruining half the dishes. Maya tried to mediate, but Evelyn's stories always ended with a moral: when you're married, you have to make sacrifices for the family. It was a line that echoed through every argument, every slammed door, every half-eaten casserole that never seemed to get the right amount of seasoning. Fast forward to the day we decided to have a baby. Maya was ecstatic, I was nervous but supportive. We announced it at a family brunch, and Evelyn's eyes lit up until she started asking, "Are you sure you can afford a child?" She quoted my student loan balance, my car payments, the mortgage, and then dropped, "I have a feeling this is a mistake." That night, after Maya fell asleep on the couch with a tiny pink blanket draped over her shoulders, I sat at the kitchen table, my head in my hands. I thought about all the tiny betrayals, her stealing my socks, her helpful suggestions that my paycheck should go toward her own retirement plan, the way she'd invite my boss over for dinner just to get a sense of who's feeding her family. I felt trapped, like a hamster in a wheel that kept getting faster. The next morning, I decided to flip the script. I told Maya, "I'm going to set a deadline. Either we ask her to move out, or we make her earn her keep. No more free meals, no more helpful advice." Maya's eyes widened. She'd been quietly counting how many times Evelyn taken her own meals from the fridge, how many times she'd used Maya's favorite shampoo, and she was ready for a plan. We could set up a schedule. She cooks, she cleans, she pays a contribution. If she doesn't, we give her notice. We drafted a list of house chores and financial contributions, printed it on glossy paper, and slipped it under Evelyn's pillow that night. The next morning, she stared at the paper, eyebrows arched. "Are you serious?" she asked, voice a mix of indignation and amusement. "I'm your mother, not a roommate." I could feel the tension rising, like a pot about to boil over. I tried to keep my voice calm. "We love you, Evelyn, but this isn't sustainable. We need boundaries." She threw the paper on the table, stormed out, and called Maya's brother, who lives 3 states away. Within an hour, a text cascade hit my phone. "She's calling the police, saying we're abusive." My heart raced. I called my own mother, who told me to stay calm and document everything. I grabbed my phone, started recording, and invited Evelyn back for dinner under the pretense of apologizing for the misunderstanding. She arrived with a fierce glare, clutching a tote bag that seemed to contain every accusation she could think of. I served turkey, mashed potatoes, and the dreaded cranberry sauce that Evelyn claimed tastes like regret. As we ate, I kept my eyes on her. When she tried to make a snide comment about my lack of ambition, I simply said, "I'd love to hear more about how you think I should have handled my finances. Maybe we can write it down and add it to the list we gave you." She sputtered, then fell silent. Maya, sitting across from us, placed her hand over mine under the table. The air felt thicker than the gravy. After dinner, I suggested we all go for a walk around the neighborhood, a tradition I'd started before Evelyn moved in, to clear the mind. She hesitated but followed. The crisp autumn air made the tension feel a little lighter, and as we walked past a row of houses, I pointed out a for sale sign in front of the house next door. "Looks like the new owners are moving in soon," I said. "Maybe it's a good opportunity for a fresh start for everyone." Evelyn's jaw clenched. She muttered something about old houses, and I could hear the gears turning. That night, while Maya slept, I opened my laptop and drafted an email to the real estate agent who had listed the house next door. I wrote, "My mother-in-law is looking for a quiet place to stay while we transition to a new phase. She's interested in a one-bedroom unit, preferably with a garden, and she's willing to pay rent immediately." I hit send, then waited. 2 days later, an email popped up. "We have a one-bedroom unit available for immediate move-in. The owner is a retired teacher who loves gardening and would love a quiet tenant. The rent is $1,200 per month, utilities included. Let me know if you'd like to schedule a viewing." I forwarded the email to Maya, who stared at it like it was a miracle. "That's perfect," she whispered. "She'll love the garden." We called Evelyn, and I told her the news. "There's a lovely little place across the street that just opened up. It has a garden, quiet streets, and it's only a few blocks away. I think you'd love it." She stared at me, a flicker of something, perhaps surprise, perhaps curiosity. "You're offering to move me?" she asked, voice softening. I nodded. "You've been with us for a while, and we love you, but the house is getting cramped. We think a fresh start could be good for everyone. Plus, you'll have your own space, your own garden, and you won't have to deal with us constantly." There was a long pause. The wind rustled the leaves, and I could hear Maya's breathing from the hallway. Finally, Evelyn said, "I'll think about it." The next morning, Evelyn showed up with a suitcase, a stack of magazines, and a look that said she was ready to play whatever game we were dealing. She placed the suitcase on the couch, then turned to me, eyes narrowed. "I'm not moving out unless you pay for the rent and give me a weekly allowance. I'm a senior, after all." I felt my stomach drop. Maya's hand tightened around my wrist under the table. I took a deep breath. "We can work out a fair rent. We'll sit down, look at numbers, and see what's reasonable. But the point is, we need to make this work for everyone." She huffed, but the negotiation began. We pulled up the spreadsheet Maya had made: expenses, incomes, projected baby costs. I showed her the numbers, letting her see exactly how much we could afford for rent without jeopardizing the baby's future. I even offered to cover a portion of her utilities for the first month, just to make the transition smoother. Evelyn stared at the numbers, then at the spreadsheet, then at Maya's hopeful face. She finally sighed, "Fine. I'll take the place. But I want the garden. If the tomatoes die, you'll be the ones to blame." Maya laughed, the sound breaking the tension like a glass shattering. "Deal," she said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. The next week, Evelyn moved out. The house felt lighter, the air fresher, the hallway no longer echoing with her footsteps. She set up her new place, proudly showing off a tiny vegetable patch she'd coaxed from the soil. She even invited us over for a garden tea party, and for the first time in months, we actually enjoyed each other's company. The twist? A month after she moved, I got a call from the real estate agent. "Your mother-in-law just sold the house next door to a young couple. They're starting a family, too. They asked if we could lower the rent a bit, and I told them we'd work something out." Evelyn laughed on the phone. "Turns out I'm the one who's getting a discount now," she said, "and you'll be paying me a little extra for the garden upkeep." I hung up, grinning. The whole sabotage saga had come full circle. I'd turned her manipulation into a mutually beneficial arrangement. She got her garden, we got a quiet house, and the rent was a win-win. Maya and I even started a small herb garden on our balcony, borrowing a few seedlings from Evelyn's garden, which she proudly delivered every Sunday with a wink. Now, when Thanksgiving rolls around again, we sit around the same table, only now there's an extra chair for a new neighbor who's moved in across the street, and Evelyn's famous cranberry sauce still sits in the center, but it's shared among friends, not weapons. The tension that once crackled like static is now a warm hum, and the biggest battle we face is deciding who gets the last slice of pumpkin pie. I still keep an eye on Evelyn's garden. When the tomatoes finally turn a perfect red, I'll bring over a bottle of homemade wine, and we'll toast to the strange, twisted road that got us here. No moral, no lesson, just the fact that sometimes, the best way to survive a toxic in-law is to give them a better view. So, if you ever find yourself stuck in a house of thorns, remember, you can either keep fighting the vines, or you can pull the whole plant to a new garden and watch it flourish while you finally get to breathe.